Alright guys, what's up? Next Marvel Legends review I want to do is Daken. I know he's probably supposed to be pronounced a different way, but I don't like that, so I'm going to keep saying Daken. Daken just sounds weird. Alright, he stands, not counting his mohawk, just about 6 inches tall, so he's pretty close to proper size. He's using this blank body that I really don't care for, this generic body. It's okay, but there are definitely some problems. I'll mention those as I get to them. If you look at the face sculpt, the face itself is really good, but it's kind of small on the head. The head kind of comes to a point, and he's got like the smirkiness he has is okay, but the way it kind of comes to a point, he just looks kind of weird. Mohawk's okay, it's pretty big, but I know it's supposed to be, so that's fine with me. And even with the mohawk, he still has a good range of motion, so I'm pretty happy with that. Overall, the head looks good. To me, it just kind of has a pinched look to it. Maybe it's the way they did this temple right here. It just kind of gives him a weird, I don't know, something about it just looks off. He has this mask that's not on, obviously. It's sculpted okay. It's kind of big compared to some of the ones we've seen before on like Daredevil and the what Wolverine had that? One of them did. Oh, the Ultimate Wolverine, I think it was. No. Astonishing. Anyway, it's okay. It still looks good. It looks good from the back for sure because it's got the eyes and everything. So I like it. It's just, it looks, some people said it looks awkward. I don't mind it too much. The tattoo work on the arm is pretty solid. Not really too much to say about that. It looks good. The tattoo work is fine. The line painting is pretty much good all around. It's a little sloppy on the shoulders, but it's not bad. You know, just standing on the shelf, you know, or pose, whatever, it's a decent looking figure. It's not a bad figure by any means. I like the figure. I have to point out the bad things though, since this is an objective review. First thing I have to point out is this shoulder articulation. They've been using it for a while now, and I just hate it because it's really ugly and you don't get that much out of it. The point of this shoulder articulation, for me anyway, is to be able to bring the arm around across the front of the chest. And it doesn't swing it forward at all. It's still almost where it would have been. It goes back farther than it goes forward, and there's really not that much benefit to having the arms go back. You can kind of get that look without having this butterfly joint. I think I'm going to coin that phrase, by the way. I don't like it because it's just ugly and you don't gain too much out of it. So just fill that in, make it a better sculpt, and just be happy with the way it is. That's what I would do, but it is there. He has standard ball joint shoulders. Otherwise, they painted the disc, or at least, yeah, they molded the disc. So from the top, it looks good. It matches the brown, but from the bottom, it looks like he has a hairy armpit. Like I said, though, the tattoo looks good. It doesn't go up past the bicep swivel, so that's okay. It looks alright. There's no paint on the elbow joint piece, but it's still not too obvious, so that's okay by me too. It has a wrist swivel at the forearm and at the wrist. Now, I don't get that. You really don't need both. And considering the fact that the one in the forearm, it never lines up right. No matter how you put it, the shapes just don't line up. They're off by a good amount. So I don't like that. I think they definitely could have just left that a solid sculpt and then had the articulation right here. But it is what it is. He has a hinge there, and his bone claws are painted okay. There's a little bit of brown here and there sticking over, but they're sculpted alright. They do need to be heated and fixed from the packaging, at least mine does. But the hands are pretty good. I like the hands. They have nice sculpt, and the bone claws look pretty good. It has the ab crunch that this body has always had, so it's pretty ugly. If you go all the way up, there's a gap in the brown line. And the best part about this is it ratchets and it has a good range of motion. So it's okay functionally, but aesthetically it's a little bit ugly, I think. His belt is loose, which is okay, I guess. It doesn't really fit down where it should be unless you stretch it. So it's going to pop back up at some point. But that's alright. He does have the red belt, so that's a nice touch. He does have the waist twist, so that's okay. Wide jointed hips still, so the range of motion is still there, but you're going to have to play with it a little bit. The color of the yellowish orangish brown right here is not quite the same as up here, but it's not too far off that it's really too noticeable. The shading's there, but it's kind of haphazard and could be a little bit better. It looks better up here than it does down here for sure. Now, one of my biggest complaints about this mold is the shape of the muscles. They're all very square. If you look at the bicep, it kind of comes up, over, and down. It's very boxy, and it's the same thing down here with the thighs. They don't really have the right shape to them, and then the kneecaps especially. They have a lot of square edges, and it just doesn't look as good as it could. I don't care for this body as much as some of the other ones that they could have used. But again, like I said, it's not really a bad figure, just a couple issues I'd like to point out. Definitely worth buying. I do recommend it. Double jointed knees, shin swivel at the top of the boot, so that's nice. They did a good job with the boot. I really like the shape of it. It's done well. The problem with the feet they have great range of motion in the ankle rocker and the toe hinge, so that's really good. But these are the old school kind of feet that look like, I think they're the same feet that Pyro has. So they're really not realistic at all. The hinge is kind of ugly. I do like that it has the full range with the rock and everything, but it's just really not a good looking foot. Let me compare it to Spider-Man, for example, since they're both in the same wave. Spider-Man has a really nice shaped foot. It's got much more realism to it, and it has the new hinge in it, and it just looks much better than this flat, elongated foot, I think. So that's really a matter of opinion. It's not an issue, or it's not a problem, I should say, but it is something to note, perhaps. So overall, though, he's a really good figure. I do recommend it. Don't expect to be blown away by it, but he's definitely worth adding to the collection. It's a solid figure. Nothing fancy, but still a good figure. So there it is, guys. There's Daken, the unmasked version. Hopefully I find the masked one soon. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos, and in the meantime, keep collecting.